Okay, so it's 11:32. We'll get started. Maybe we do have a few friends who might join in a couple of minutes, but we'll get started. Good morning, Shalini and Aditri. It's lovely to have both of you join us this morning. My name is Sapna, and my colleagues Eklavya and Shrikant are also on the call, and they'll respond in the chat as well as respond as needed. Since you were a really good morning, Ajit. Thank you for joining as well. We were just getting started. Since we are a small group, would be nice if if it's possible and you're okay to turn on your cameras just so I can see you all. Yeah, it's just much more personal in that sense. And I do have a presentation, but what I can also do is, given that we're a small group, I'm happy to sort of customize based on your questions. So yeah, feel free to sort of ask questions and I'll respond to those instead of waiting constantly for the end. Okay, so I'll get started and share a little bit, give a little bit of an overview. All right. Thank you, Neha, Amit, for joining. Thank you for turning on your camera as well. It really helps, especially for a small group, to just see the faces behind the names. My name is Sapna, and I just mentioned that my colleagues Eklavya and Shrikant are also on the call, and they respond in the chat as well as as needed. We'll get started. I'm guessing most of you are joining this for the first time, and I'll share a little bit about Gifted India, a little bit about gifted programs and nurturing in talent development, and then feel free, and I'll go into details of the Gifted India program that is happening in Manipal this year. Feel free to ask questions as they come up for you, whether in the chat or unmute and ask, and we'll take it from there. Okay. All right. So just to give you context, Gifted India is basically a forum. It's a consortium of organizations, the names that you see on the screen, that came together a few years ago to sort of advocate for and support families of students with of gifted students. Essentially, we realized that there wasn't that we don't have anything of this sort, or our curriculum or the formal curriculum that the students study doesn't necessarily have anything especially designed for gifted students. And so our work revolves around sharing or creating more awareness about the needs of gifted students, as well as offering opportunities to parents and families to learn more about giftedness, to learn more about how they can support to create a community that can continue to share and learn from each other. And my name is Sapna. I specifically work with the organization called GenWise, and our work focuses on offering nurturing programs for talented and gifted students. My background is in education. For the last more than a decade, I've been an educator. I started off my journey in education through the Teach for India Fellowship, where I taught for 2 years. I taught upper elementary, that's grade 4 and 5. From then on, I continued working in more administrative capacities at Teach for India. I worked with in teacher development, helped set up operations across different cities for Teach for India. Moved on to continue sort of supporting the development of the teacher trainers as well. Eventually, I think there was a time when I said, I've learned a lot on the job and on the go, but I need some more formal sort of training. And I stepped back, took a year off to study. I went to Harvard. I got a master's in education from Harvard. And then I continued working at Harvard at the School of Engineering within what is called the Biodesign Lab. The Biodesign Lab was a group of professors that work on soft robotics. And my work focused on creating curriculums that would allow us to bring these sort of novel approaches to students in middle and high school. We tested that across India and the US across about 300 students, and the curriculum is now formally available on the Soft Robotics Toolkit website. Since then, I came back to India. I worked as the vice principal at an international school in Pune, which is where I live. And about a year ago, I stepped back from that role to work in the more informal learning space, or the outer school learning space. And for the last year at GenWise, my work focuses on designing or curating these learning programs or enrichment programs for our gifted and talented students. Most of our programs are usually during holidays because that's when students have time. The rest of the time, they of course have school and so many other things, so they're quite busy. And of course, focusing on the delivery of those as well. Today, what I'm going to do is share a little bit about giftedness, right? What do we mean when we use the word gifted? What are the unique needs of our gifted children? How, how does participating in any of these gifted programs help, or what is the purpose of doing this? Then I'll deep dive into specifically the GenWise gifted program, which will be in Manipal this year at twice in the year, which is May and July. So I'll deep dive into the summer program. What is the summer program? What does it, what are the kind of courses that are available, our faculty, other details from accommodation to safety, food, medical, connectivity, all of that. And I'll open it up for questions. But as I said, we're a small group. So if questions do arise, feel free to stop and ask those questions. So starting with giftedness across different schools of thought, there will be different definitions. But largely what we believe at GenWise is that every child has gifts and every individual has gifts. It's about understanding what is it that we're gifted at or talented at. And in this specific context today, we're talking about academic giftedness or intellectual ability. And we largely define it as having a higher intellectual ability than the average child or the average classroom. So generally look at the top 5 children in the classroom or the top 1 to 5% of any classroom, right? Now within that, of course, there'll be a spectrum. Someone might be precociously gifted to, kids who are like writing thesis at the age of like 10 years old or something, to students who are moderately gifted. So again, within gifted, there's a spectrum, but generally when we are talking about gifted in the context of this program, we're speaking about intellectual ability that is higher than the average. How do we identify this? It's through the Asset Talent Search Test. Most of your children probably gave the Asset Talent Search Test and you received a report card that either said something like they're a gold scholar, they're a silver scholar, a bronze scholar, and there's a percentile given to that. So the asset, and this happened, most of your children who have given the Asset Talent Search Test probably gave the asset test first. The asset test is a test that's widely taken by schools across India and outside of India. The asset test is a grade level test. It's in English, math, and science, and it's at grade level. So if your child was in 5th grade, they wrote a 5th grade asset. If they were in 6th grade, they wrote a 6th grade asset, and so on. For most of your children, if you ask them, they will tell you the asset test was fairly easy. It wasn't very difficult. There may have been 1 or 2 questions that they found difficult, but it was fairly easy for them. Now, this is because most of your children are already performing above average, right? So in their classrooms, you would have probably seen that they're doing really well. They find it easy to grasp everything that is taught in school. They're generally, getting good grades in class. They understand things easily. So you would have noticed all of these things as well, right? So for these children that scored between the 85th percentile and above on the asset test, we invited them to a higher level test, which is called the Asset Talent Search Test. Okay, this talent search test is essentially to identify their level of giftedness, right? So this test is essentially 2 grade levels above their grade level, which means if your child was in 5th grade, they wrote a 7th grade asset in English, math, and science. If your child was in 6th grade, they wrote a 8th grade asset in English, math, science. So that's the talent search test. It's an above level test. It's a test that is scientifically designed. It is accepted across various programs as an indicator of giftedness or talent. And all the children who take Asset Talent Search are essentially the children who are already performing higher in their regular asset, right? They're 85th percentile and above in asset. They get invited to the talent search. And then if your child scores in the 85th percentile and above in the talent search, which is the above level test, then we consider that they are academically or intellectually gifted, right? And these and this test is accepted by programs, by the various programs listed on my slide. All of these are talent development programs. They may have different cutoffs. So like someone might expect a 99 percentile, someone might expect a 95th percentile, but they are accepted across by different programs. And these are talent development programs. So again, what I mentioned is giftedness is essentially, we're going to think about giftedness from the perspective of intellectual ability that is significantly above average. The way we identify it is through this above level test. And now that we know that our children are academically or intellectually gifted, right? How do we support them in translating these gifts into achievement? So I'm guessing, everyone would agree that just because you're gifted doesn't necessarily mean you will reach high levels of achievement. Let's take an example from a non-academic field, right? Let's think of like sports or music or arts or any of those. Think of some of the most talented and gifted sports players across different, whether it's football, whether it's tennis, whether it's cricket, or even musicians that are extremely talented, right? Just because they all had some talent, they were of course better than the average, but all of them required years of training and consistent training, right? Training, and that training also probably looked different at different stages. When they were younger, there may have been certain training. Then as they grew older and their skills developed, their talents developed, they probably got training from different types of mentors who can support them in their journey where they are. So the big idea that I'm trying to share is that gift does not translate into achievement without opportunity to kind of nurture that, right? Like we need to give children those opportunities. And as I said very briefly in the beginning, unfortunately for us in the formal curriculum, whether it is CBSE, SSE or ICSE or IB may be slightly different, but in those curriculums, there aren't separate pathways for our children that are gifted and talented to access more advanced levels of learning because they can access it. For instance, in the Western countries, especially in the US, the curriculum that I'm more familiar with, they have AP level classes or advanced placement level classes, right, in high school, which means if you are gifted in a certain area, whether it is history, whether it's English, whether it is mathematics or science, you can take advanced level classes in high school. Those not only challenge you more, but they also give you the opportunity to earn college level credits, which you can then transfer to college when you go to college. Unfortunately, in our formal curriculum, we don't have those opportunities. And hence it is important that you provide those opportunities to kids outside of school wherever possible. And so that's one thing, right? Like providing them opportunities that allow them to not only expand their knowledge and skills, but also challenge them. So for many of your kids, it's possible that, in school doesn't feel challenging. A lot of the schoolwork might be very easy for them because they are ahead of the curriculum. That's what we understand from the test and their performance on the test. And so it's important that we provide these opportunities to them. And this is not a one time that, you provide one opportunity and children will magically lead to some level of achievement. Even if we look at athletes, we look at so many musicians, it's a continuous process. You have to constantly train yourself or challenge yourself in different ways through different opportunities. Now, that is one thing, right? The other part of it is the psychosocial skills. So often our children, and these are important for all children across the board, regardless of the level of giftedness and the area of giftedness. But often our children that are talented and gifted, what happens is either they feel a lot of pressure to perform, because they know they're very good at things. And so they feel a lot of pressure that they have to be the best at everything that they do. And they build that pressure on themselves. Or the other way around, where they may feel that, if something is too challenging and it might lead to them failing, they might hesitate from participating in that because it might be that, I don't want to come across as I'm not good at this. I'm supposed to be the best in class at everything. And I don't want to, come across as I'm not good. So it could go either ways. Different children in different situations might respond differently. Sometimes it's also, in class, because again, you're just doing so well, they may either get labeled as nerds or they may be those teachers' pets or something. And so, other children might, again, they may have challenges with, like, getting along with other children or being accepted by other children for who they are. And these are at the moment, these challenges look a certain way with our kids being in school. But as we grow, each one of us in our journey have learned, right, that these are things we'll face in the world and society. And it's important that we build the fortitude and the confidence and the abilities to deal with these ups and downs. There will be times when we fail and don't do well. There will be times when we do well. How do you not let that get to your head, right? So those are also equally important skills, along with the knowledge and the sort of the academic skills. And so the gifted, and this is more or less everything that I shared in the last few minutes. And so gifted programs, or the idea of whether it is the GenWise gifted program in India or any other program, whether it is the programs that accept the Asset Talent Search scores or other programs, the idea of these is to provide children those nurturing opportunities, right? And those are opportunities where they have, where they can be challenged, where they get a chance to learn at a more advanced level, to learn in a peer community that is equally talented and gifted. So that's the intention of the program, right? Or the reason behind these programs, because in the formal school curriculum, there are not enough opportunities for our children to be challenged and to access advanced learning. These programs become opportunities for them to engage in those opportunities. And the intention is, as I said, it's not a one-time done thing that, you go one time and suddenly you're going to be exceptional at something. It's an ongoing process. Any learning, any training, any sort of mentoring is an ongoing process. And at different stages, it might look different for children based on where they are and what they're trying to learn. So the GenWise gifted program specifically is one such program that happens in India for gifted and talented students. There are multiple programs, as I said. You would have seen, I'll go back here to the screen and you'll see the little logos on the bottom of my screen. Your child may have qualified for more than one program based on their score on the Asset Talent Search test, right? All of these programs, at the core of it, are opportunities to provide that additional challenge, mentoring, nurturing to children, right? I'm going to go into more details of the GenWise. The Northwestern Center for Talent Development program also has certain courses, and they're going to be coming on the 13th of April to present about their program. You'll receive an email about those details. And we'll try and get some of the other programs to come and share as well. But by nature and principle, they're all similar. They may be conducted in different places. And so your children will have different opportunities to engage with a more global peer group versus a more Indian peer group. The types of courses may be different, but at the heart of it, they're all similar programs. And so for the GenWise gifted program, again, I'm gonna share a video. The video sort of gives an overview of what, learning or what this experience is like, and then we'll go into details about each of these items.
There is no volume there. There is no audio there.
You can't hear? Okay.
No.
Let me share screen again. Sorry. Give me a second. I'll share screen again with the audio.
When I got my ATS results, I vividly remember my grandmother being there, and she was very supportive of it. Although I hadn't thought about the results too much before that because I didn't want to be disappointed when I got them, I realized that they were actually quite good because I got Gold Scholar, and I was very proud of myself, especially because my parents and my entire family was very supportive of me. Seeing the opportunities it brought, I was very excited as well.
my teacher Prabhu sir, he's absolutely amazing because he treats physics like it's something fun to enjoy and like a game. So every day when we come to class, we play with physics, we learn how to do experiments, learn about theories, and then we go back knowing a lot more and even knowing how to do a lot more in terms of experiment and how to test theories and things like that.
He gets a chance to interact with people of his own mind length, wavelength जो बोलते हैं ना कोई, when you go to a normal class in school, सारे बच्चे सब तरह के बच्चे आते हैं, कुछ स्पोर्ट्स में अच्छे होते हैं, कुछ एकेडमिक्स में अच्छे होते हैं, और स्कूल जब उसे टीच करती है तो जस्ट दे हैव टू बी नॉर्मल जनरल लेवल पे बात कर सकते हैं, वो बहुत हाई लेवल भी बात नहीं कर सकते, लेकिन यहाँ पे दे कैन गो बियॉन्ड द कोर्स.
My teamwork skills have improved a lot, and I have managed my frustration, my stress, my anger issues. Everything has been under control since I came here, and my patience levels have increased a lot. Like after taking up the forensics course, teamwork has been a key part to solving our cases, the crimes that we have to solve, and I feel like I learned a lot about different moral skills.
एक छोटा सा और बात बताता हूँ, like when he was here and I was with my friends and we were just having a chat and Adi called, I was outside. तो मैंने बताया उनको भाई he has gone to the summer program. So I also put Adi on speaker and I told them कोई अंकल से बात करो वगैरह. And Adi was very happy and excited. तो जैसे फ़ोन का यार हो कि यार आवाज़ में ही लग रहा है कि उसमें बहुत चेंज आ गया. Adi used to be a little bit reserved child. सोशल इंटरेक्शन में आई थिंक जो इस लेवल के प्रोग्राम आते हैं नॉर्मली सोशल इंटरेक्शन में द चाइल्ड्स आर लिटिल बिट रिजर्व्ड.
First day when I spoke to her, I think I was the most relieved because the smile on her face was unbelievable. Like I was waiting for her to just speak to me at 9. But she was so relaxed, so calm, and it just, her face told me the story that she's enjoyed every moment from the time she's entered the campus.
The icing on the cake is the last night when we spoke with her, which was her last day, and she refuses to come back.
Yeah.
So that speaks volumes about the kind of care and the way the kids are taken care of over here.
These 3 weeks have arguably been some of the best weeks of my life. It's just the people I've met, the friendships I've created, the bonds I have with them now are just something truly special which can't really be replicated anywhere else.
Give me a second and I'll share again. Sorry. I just need 1 second, okay? Okay, so to kind of summarize what what this gifted program or the summer program experience includes is one, as you noticed through the video as well, and as the kids shared, is the level of intellectual challenge. As I said, that our kids are ready to be challenged much more. And so all of our courses are designed to offer that, right? So if your children are currently in grade 5 or 6, going into grade 6 and 7, all our courses are designed to offer that advanced learning to them. But at the same time, time, because their talent areas are still emerging, what we do is we create modules across sort of STEM and non-STEM subjects, and children engage in all those modules. Again, this is just because they're still younger. So regardless of, what you may have seen on the Asset Talent Search, even if the talent search shows that they're gifted either in English or math or science, or 2 out of those 3, they'll still engage in learning across the topics. So this summer, we have courses that are in science and math, we have a creative writing module, and we have a social science module, and children will engage in all 3. For our older students, that is kids going into grade 8, 9, 10, for them, we have a menu of options. Again, those options will be across STEM and non-STEM. They will go from anything from 1 week long or 30 hours of academics all the way to 3 weeks and 90 hours. And children have a choice. So based on what it is that they're either interested in exploring further, or, they know that they're very interested in doing like, say physics or math in the future, then they can choose courses aligned to that. Maybe they're not very sure and they want to explore, will I enjoy this, will I not? Then they can choose something accordingly. But for them, we have more choice. And then for our kids that are going into grade 11 and 12, we have more of an internship opportunity where they can, one, share in detail what it is that they're thinking about in terms of future pathways, and then we curate experiences based on that. For our grades 8, 9, 10 students, they will again have learning that is at a more advanced or accelerated level. So all the way almost to pre-college level type courses. So like a math course or a physics course will be pitched at those levels. Now, regardless of sort of, whether you're a junior student or a senior student, all the courses are extremely hands-on, and the focus is on learning with understanding. It is less about, knowing the jargons, remembering the jargons. There is no test at the end. So there is no test or exam that the kids are going to write. However, every child will have a showcase on the last day. All parents are invited for the open house, and the open house is an opportunity where kids will present their learning. So what, if they've done a range of courses, it'll be based on that. If they've done a specific course, it'll be based on that. But they will share their learning. It will just not be in an exam format on which they are graded, and where they have to write anything from memory. The other thing is all children will receive a certificate of participation at the end. At the same time, they will receive feedback from their instructor. So whoever their faculty is will write a letter of appreciation based on what they have observed of that child. And of course, any feedback on areas that they think will help the child in the future. As again, our staff, and as you may have heard in the videos as well, we have extremely experienced staff that is talented and caring. I'll get into more details about faculty and their background. Our staff, non-faculty staff as well, that is the residential staff, are all extremely experienced. They go through an intense and rigorous training just before the program starts so that they're aware of child development and how to work with children of different age groups. Friendships, it is a huge part. Building a sense of community is a huge part of the work we do, and it's very, very important for us as well as our children. Most of our children go back having friends from different schools, friends that are equally talented and gifted like them. It's not just about the talent, but it's also people who almost, as you heard some of the kids say, like it's almost like they feel that they found their tribe, someone who thinks like them, someone who's probably interested in topics they're interested in. And most of our children stay in touch from the May program last year as well. A lot of these kids have a WhatsApp group on which they stay connected with each other. They continue to have Zoom calls every weekend, and of course only the ones who are free join. But that it's important because as they grow up, they'll move out of school, they'll go to college, their paths might cross with some of these other kids from other schools and other cities. The camp outside of the academics, so kids have academic from 9 to 4, and then 4 p.m. onwards, they have extracurricular activities. We try to ensure it's as much fun. All of our residential team is extremely talented and experienced, and they create different options for children to engage in and ensure that social experience and the outside of school or outside of class experience is as fun as it can be. On a daily basis, from 4 to 7, they have extracurricular activities. activities. Usually we have a range of options for children to choose from. These range from sports type activities, outdoor activities, to more art and craft type activities for people who are interested in that, and 2 more brain gym type activities. So for kids who are interested in debate or interested in quiz, for them, we have those types of options. On the weekends, they are social. So the weekends are saved for all these social experiences. So again, one is we try to understand what our children enjoy and create experiences accordingly. But in addition to that, we have everything from like DJ nights to talent nights to fun competitions, field trips, to a museum, museums in the city or other places in the city, visits to some of the student projects at Manipal. So that city also has so much to offer that it's a very rich ecosystem for which we can provide children with all of those exposure opportunities. Lastly, the facilities. So we use the Manipal University facilities, which is their dorm, their buildings, their classrooms, their dining halls. And though all of them are world-class, for anyone that is probably an alumni of Manipal University, I'm sure you can second that. We use the international student dorms. These are the top of the line dorms. The dorms are similar to hotels. So there will be 2 or 3 children, depending on the size of the room, in one room. They're air conditioned. The bathrooms are en suite. So only the children using that room share the bathroom. They're not community bathrooms where a lot of children are sharing them. Our dorms and the floors that are offered to GenWise are exclusively for us. So no other people that are non-GenWise or unauthorized people will be on those floors. They are gender separated, which means for females, we have a separate floor. For males, we have a separate floor. The staff is also gender separated. Once again, the dining area is exclusively for GenWise, and there are no unauthorized people over there. Similar to the academic buildings, again, the buildings dedicated to us and the classrooms dedicated to us are all exclusive, and there won't be other people because we know our children are young, and their safety and their security is a priority for us as much as it is for you. So this summer, we have 3 different options at the moment. The first one is the summer program in May, which is in Manipal. The second one is a summer program in July, which is again in Manipal. The residential programs in Manipal are for students from 6th grade, so starting 6th grade in this coming academic year, all the way to students starting 12th grade. There are different, again, for the junior kids, that is the younger students going to 6th and 7th, it's 2 weeks. For students in 11th and 12th grade doing the internship, it's 2 weeks. And for the children going to 8, 9, 10, that is our senior students, it's a 3-week program. For our younger scholars, that is kids from grade 4 going into grade 5, they're still young for a residential experience. For them, we have an exclusive online program. Again, the program will cover different modules across different disciplines, but it's online because they're still young and they're not ready to be away from home for that period of time. Some of these are, all of these details you'll find on the website. We'll share in the chat as well. But to give you a general sense of how we design the courses, as I mentioned, these are again for our don't look at the last row, right? The last row is for our younger kids. Look at everything from top to second last row. This is for our senior students going from grade 8, 9, 10. As you can see, we have different options, right? Look at the first column. There are courses that are STEM based, that is science, engineering, math, technology based, or non-science based. Then, as you can see, look at the table across, right? If you look at the table across, if you see the first 5 options, these are 3-week courses. So in this case, if a child chooses one of these, they do that course across 3 weeks, which means 90 hours of academics in that particular course. 90 hours is equal to a 4-credit 1-semester course at college. Now, if you look at the bottom sort of 3 rows from the bottom, you will see that these are 1-week options, right? So for children who may not want to commit to like one course for 3 weeks and want to get a flavor of a few different things, they can choose 3 different courses across 3 weeks, right? So in week 1, you see there are 3 options, 1 in STEM, 1 in social science, which is the economics, and 1 in writing. Then again, in the second week, you will see 3 options, and in the third week. So you can choose 1 option from each. So you could do like a math course in the first week, you do a writing course in the second week, and maybe the leadership course in the third week. And that gives, so it's again 30 hours each week and totally 90 hours, but split across 3 different courses. Now, if you see the last row, which is the junior program, this is for our younger scholars, that is grade 6 and 7. For them, we have 3 different modules, as you can see. The first one is on fun with math and science. The next is writing, and the third is social science. Junior kids will do all 3 courses. So there's no choice. All children will do all the modules. Once again, it's because their talent areas are emerging. So we want to ensure that they are getting experience and exposure to all of the areas. And all the courses, regardless of junior or senior, as I said, focus on building the thinking skills in children and focus on building their conceptual understanding. They're less about memorizing and, you know, reproducing definitions. For the this is the online program for our youngest scholars, that is kids going to grade 5. Again, we have 3 different modules. This is an online program. It's 2 weeks from May 15th to 27th. The classes will be in the morning. They will be synchronous live classes and not a follow along sort of MOOC. Again, there's a science course, there's a math course, and there's a computational thinking course. This is the July program. The July program is from the 6th of July to 27th of July, depending, again, some children might have holidays at that time. Similar, the junior course has 4 different modules. All children will do all modules, as you can see on the top of my screen. And on the bottom, you will see the table, which is for the senior students. We have 1 3-week-long option that you can see right on the bottom, the soft robotics. And otherwise, we have the first 2 weeks, we have 3 courses, and then for the last week, we have 3 options, and children can mix and match. Again, these details you'll find on the on our website. You'll find detailed descriptions for each of the courses. And if you want to know more, we're happy to sort of connect you with the faculty to ask those questions. But this is to get a general sense that you have these different options, and you can pick and choose based on what makes the most sense for you and your child. Our faculty, they're experts from around the world. We're very fortunate to be working with each one of them. Most of them are gifted and talented in their own way. They've done this journey themselves. All of them have, you know, they have formal degrees from very elite institutions. They're probably leaders in their own industry space, whichever industry they work in. Additionally, they have experience teaching, and hence they have a deep understanding of the pedagogy and how gifted children learn. So to give you an example, say Naveen, who teaches the course on artificial intelligence and machine learning, which is taking the world by a storm right now. Naveen himself is a computer scientist, studied at IIT Bombay, then went on to get a PhD from Wisconsin Medicine. He's the founder of ReLIScore and has many patents as well as peer-reviewed articles under his name. But Naveen feels very, very strongly about, you know, learning for school students, and he ensures that he takes time off every year to come teach our students. Similarly, like a different example is Sarah. Sarah is a professor at a university in the US. She's a professor of politics. But Sarah, again, has immense experience teaching gifted and talented students in middle and high school across different gifted and talented programs. And she's, you know, she teaches courses on international relations, on quantitative methods within social science. So each faculty is extremely unique, but they're experts in their own field. And we are really, we're really fortunate to be working with all of them and giving our children that kind of exposure. What does a typical day look like in the program? So for children, they wake up by 6:30, get ready, they come to breakfast. Academics start by 9 a.m. From 9 to 4, as you can see, they have academics. After that, there's extracurricular. So from 4 to 7, there's extracurricular activities. And at least twice a week in the evening after dinner, which is after 8 p.m. from 8 to 9, we have something called an evening adda. In the video you saw, the MIT director had come down, or some other faculty. So these addas are basically opportunities when all children from grade 6 to grade 12 come together, and we there's a talk on a topic that would be interesting for all of them, but also accessible to all of them. So regardless of whether you're in 6th grade or 12th grade, it's something that all of you can understand. So in the past, addas have been about understanding the internet. They've been about game theory. They've been about evolution of steam engine on warships. So it's a vast range of topics. We try to look for topics that would be interesting for our children, that would expose our children to knowledge beyond what they would learn within school. And they, it's something that they want to know more about. On the weekends, as I said, the weekends are non-academic, so we organize the weekend program differently. There's different competitions, there's opportunities to go to field trips. Again, it depends, each weekend looks different from the other weekend. The most important part, right? The accommodation, as I said, is exclusive for Gen Ys, and there are no unauthorized people. It's gender separated, fully air conditioned. The meals, again, the Manipal mess is amazing. They have really good food. We will ensure that, we collect all details about your child's dietary needs before the program and ensure that we're able to meet those needs. There are 5 meals through the day. We try to ensure that kids are well fed, and often, not everybody likes everything. And so, but across the day, they will find things they like and they will be well fed. You don't have to worry about that. Medical, again, we will ensure that we collect all information from you beforehand so that we're able to take care of your children while they're in our care. Again, the Kasturba Hospital is a wonderful hospital. It's just in the backyard. We have, trained staff that is trained in, all staff is trained in first aid, and outside of that, staff that has healthcare background, so they're able to support children in the needs. We will always be in touch with you whenever, if something happens, if children have cough, cold, etc., or anything else. We will always be in touch, but know that their safety, their security, their well-being, physical, emotional, all of that is our priority as much as it is yours. Safety, security, as I said, children are always under adult supervision. They never go anywhere unattended without any adult that is from Gen Ys. All the security at Manipal knows about us, and they are informed, and they know who our students are. So in case there is ever any, a child they see somewhere else, that never happens, but in the rare case that happens, the security is well informed. Children are also taught on day 1 safety procedures, everything from they have to wear a specific lanyard at all times. They have to ensure that they only talk to people who are wearing the Gen Ys lanyard and nobody else. They know that they're, within certain areas they're allowed, and then outside of that, if there is no adult, they're not allowed to go there. All the other things that I said, the residential floors are exclusive, the academic building is exclusive. There's at all access points, there is security who's very aware of everything. And additionally, like as I said, the children are always within our eyesight and earshot. They're never outside our eyesight and earshot. Connectivity, you will get, so we're an unplugged camp, which means children don't have a device during the day. However, you will send a device with them, which is a phone or an iPad or whatever you need to be connected with them. They have phone time every evening for half an hour when they connect, when they will call you. And outside of that, there is no device unless the course expects. So if they're learning a machine learning course and they need a device, of course, they will be asked to bring one. In those cases, those devices will be kept safely with us. And outside of that, you will always have our numbers. That is the program director, that is me, as well as the residential heads. We will form a WhatsApp group before the start of the program. It's an admin only group, but we'll continue to post updates on that on a day-to-day basis so that you are updated about what's happening. You will have the office number as well to connect with us. But for children, it's an unplugged camp. So outside of that 30 minutes of phone time, there's no device and there's no video games or any of that. All right, so it's a whole lot of information. Thank you for being so patient and listening to me. I'm going to pause and now open it up for questions. I'll stop sharing and open it up.
Thank you, Sapna. That was a very comprehensive talk through.
Thank you.
I had a question about logistics and travel.
Mhm.
We live in Delhi and
Mhm.
we are keenly interested in sending Tara for a week, not
Mhm.
three, not two. She's in the 9th grade. So what is available in terms of logistical support?
Yeah.
I don't know much about where Manipal is. I haven't been.
Mhm.
I know Bangalore. That's like my outer point of knowledge.
Yeah.
So how does one fly? Like, what do you usually, what's the process you usually have?
Okay, so the nearest airport is Mangalore Airport, which is about an hour and a half away from Manipal. So one, if your child is traveling unaccompanied, we will pick up children. So for everybody, right? The nearest airport is Mangalore. The nearest train station is the Udupi train station or the Udupi bus stop. We are happy if your children are traveling unaccompanied. Our staff will pick them up from the airport, the train station, or the bus stand, wherever it is. You will be informed in advance about who's going to pick up. You will have those details with you. You can stay connected with your child whenever they land, and then we'll bring them to the campus. And of course, the same procedure for all children. At the end, once program is over, again, at the end, we do have an open house and a graduation ceremony. We invite all parents for it, and it's lovely to come see what your children have learned and what their showcase. However, if you are not able to come, we will again make sure that we drop them off to the airport. And from, if they're flying, then of course you have the chaperone services as well available. So one is we are available to pick them up and drop them off at the nearest airport, train station, or bus stand. Additionally, often, when we have people traveling from the same region, we're happy to connect you with parents who may have children traveling on the same weekend as yours. And if you can coordinate and book the same flight, then children are traveling together, and that becomes an additional sort of company for them. So those things we're happy to help with.
Okay, one follow-up quick question. If any of us, the adults in the family, should want to be in proximity, I mean, simply because we will be coming from so far, are there any provisions that you could help us with in terms of staying?
Yeah, so there are a bunch of hotels in the neighborhood. We'll share a brochure that has all those details. You can book yourself at those. It's a very small town. It's like 2-kilometer radius, I think. So it's very small, and there's multiple options that we'll share.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Other questions? I'll try to look through the chat in the meanwhile if there were questions.
Sapna, thank you so much for this presentation. Shalini here.
Yes.
When can we get like the details of the overall? You mentioned the website. Is there a link that can be shared?
Yes.
As well as costing of the program, etc. So
Yes.
Those kind of details.
Yes. So I think my colleagues Eklavya and Shrikant will put the link in the chat, but I'm happy to tell you on the call as well. But go through the website so you don't have to remember what I'm saying. For 3 weeks, it is 1,77,000. This includes everything from picking up your child at the nearest airport, etc., all the way to dropping them off. So food, accommodation, all the activities, everything. The only thing not included is, of course, their travel to the nearest location, and laundry if they access of the laundry service, which is on whatever the laundry team over there tells us. So it's less than 1,000 rupees for 3 weeks. So accordingly, if it's 1 week, 2 weeks, it'll be accordingly. For 2 weeks, it's 1,25,000, and for 1 week, I think it's 67,000. And again, for each of the weeks, it includes all of this except the laundry and the travel.
And my child will be a first-time child coming out of home, young one for sure. So that's something which is kind of coming on top of the mind.
Yeah.
I think the details sound excellent.
Yes.
And any support, any help.
Yeah, so
parents more than children. I think that's
yeah, one, we'll of course have another orientation call before the start of the program. Outside of that, for many of our children, this is the first time they're staying away from home for this long of a time period, right? Maybe they've done like a one-off camp, like 1 night or 2 nights from school. So we're familiar with that. Most of our children, according to what I have observed, the first couple days will be homesick. By the second, third day, I want to say most of them settle down. Regardless if children are having difficulty, one is you, when they come from home, you let them know that they should reach out to us. So for all children, they're divided into smaller groups of 10 or 12, and with one residential counselor, right? So that counselor will be of the same gender as them. But that counselor is also somebody that is in touch with them constantly. So one is, based on whoever they feel comfortable with, not to keep it within them. If they're missing home, if they're home, they want mommy, whatever it is, let us know. I will be there. The counselors will be there, Eklavya will be there, and the rest of the team. So, hopefully there's someone that they feel comfortable with and will let us know. Say they don't feel comfortable, it's just the second or third day and they're not, not open enough to tell us. But if they tell you, you can call us and let us know. We'll have a conversation. We'll keep an eye out constantly, and we'll work with you to ensure that, they are able to sort of enjoy their time at the camp. As I said, most children by the third or the fourth day settle down. They're so busy, they don't have time to miss home. But occasionally there will be children who take a little bit longer, or they have something else on their mind, and we're constantly accessible to work with the child and with you.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Shalini. Other questions? Yes, Amit.
Thank you. Sapna, Srikant, you have been very, very helpful to give us that comprehensive walkdown. I have a couple of questions. Some of them got answered by the other parents as well, but when my kid is in the 7th standard, so he would be going for the 2 weeks of the course.
Okay.
Now the course actually starts on 14th. So are we supposed to drop him on 13th?
No.
If 13th, when?
On 14th.
It will be only on 14th.
Yes. So children, depending on whichever day your course is starting, or, whether you're doing 1 week, 2 week, or 3 weeks, either it is 7th, 14th, or Eklavya, correct me if I'm wrong, 21st, right? Children will arrive on the Sunday before the course starts by 12 noon. Okay. And children can be picked up on the last day. So say we finish graduation on Saturday, 26th, on the Saturday, which is the 26th or 27th. Give me a second. I don't know.
27.
Okay, 27th. And 28th morning after 9 a.m., you can pick them up or book a flight accordingly, and we'll drop them off, whatever it is. So
you actually got me a little bit confused there. So I'm going to probably rephrase what I heard.
Yes.
And I'm talking only for the 2 weeks course right now.
Okay, so 14th.
So it starts on 14th.
Yes.
Arav will be then admitted only on the 14th. He can come to Manipal on 13th. He can arrive on 13th. Okay.
On 14th. On 14th. 14th is a Sunday. So on 14th.
Okay. So he'll probably be admitted in the 14th. 14th to 28th, his course will run through.
Yes. So 14th is a Sunday. 14th he will arrive. Okay. So that day we'll just have orientation, no classes or anything. Then 15th morning onwards is when his classes will start. Now 15th to 26th will be all the classes. Okay.
Okay.
Now 27th, which is a Saturday, they will still have class. So there'll be class in the morning, and then they'll have an open house where they'll do their presentations, and then they'll have graduation ceremony on that day, on 27th, which is a Saturday, and 28th, which is a Sunday. Sunday morning after breakfast, children can leave.
Got it.
So 9 a.m. So he will arrive. I mean, if based on where you're traveling from, if you need to, you reach on the 13th evening, but he has to be admitted to the program on 14th by 12 noon.
I got it. I think that makes the things a lot clearer for me. Couple of other questions before we probably move on. One is in terms of the payment terms, what's the payment schedule and all? That's one thing that I wanted to know.
Yeah.
Other thing I wanted to know is the laundry services are going to be separate from the program fees.
That's good.
Right. So the payment for those will be done by the end of the term. Is that how it is going to be?
No, I'll answer your second question first. So laundry is either on the day children arrive. If you are coming to drop off the child, you can just pay it on the spot. We'll have either cash or the UPI payment option, whatever works. Now, in case, the child is traveling alone, we'll let you know in advance what the cost is, and you can just send that much cash with the child. Or again, we'll send you the UPI code, you make the payment if you, don't want the child to be feeling, that I have to carry this money safely and all of that. So that's one. The second is the payment terms. So once you're ready to register, we send you the payment link. You can pay 30,000 to book your seat, and the remaining amount by Eklavya, please mention by when the rest of the payment can be made, or you can pay the full payment at one time. So your choice, the minimum is 30,000 to book the seat on the day you register. And then Eklavya,
the rest of the payment needs to be done before the 15th of April.
Got it. One final question, and I'm being greedy here, please.
No, that's okay. That's okay. It's very
for the junior grade students, is there any guidance for the money to be sent with them or not to be sent with them?
Yes. Generally, we say nothing more than 1,000 rupees. The rest of it, and that 1,000 also just in case of emergency, if there is anything. One is because children, then they're worried that I have to keep this safely. They're not used to taking care of everything. So we don't want this to be an additional sort of burden on them and something to think about. Outside of that, if anything happens or if we need money, we will be there. We are happy to make the payment. We'll send you the receipt and you can reimburse us. So I would say nothing more than 1,000, which is also just in case of emergency.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks, Sapna. Thanks, Srikanth and Eklavya.
You're welcome. Other questions?
Hi, Shweta here.
Hi, Shweta.
The last date by when we need to make this payment. I think you said 6th, right? 30,000 to be paid by 6th.
No, 30,000 on the day you register. So say you're ready to register today, we'll send you the link and you can make the payment of 30. So 30,000 is to sort of book your seat, and the rest of the payment, whatever remainder amount is, you can make by the 15th of April.
Okay, I have another question. I did happen to speak to Eklavya sir before, but I'm asking you again today. How many students have already registered for the 6th? I mean, the children who are, like my daughter is in 5th now, moving on to 6th. So 6th and 7th grade. How many batches do you already have? Is a batch full, and what is the number of students in one batch?
So generally, we have about 25 kids in a batch. And once we exceed that, we'll start another batch. Right now, we have 19 students in the junior batch.
Great. So if my daughter will be joining, she'll be part of that first batch, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And they study together?
Yes, they study together.
All these 19, 20 will be in the class full time. Now, another question. After class hours, when they are eating and all, do they interact with the entire batch? Like the elite also?
Yes, they do. So Alex, I'll answer your first question and the second half of the question. So one is, say we have right now, as I said, we're at 19. If we exceed, generally we don't have more than 25 in a class. If we exceed that, we'll split the class into 2. So then it could be, say, if we have a total of 30, it could be 15 and 15 in each class. So we'll ensure that, the student teacher ratio doesn't go too high. That's one. And the second is when they study, of course, they're in their classrooms, which is the 6th and 7th in the junior program. For the 8th, 9th, 10th, depending on the class they have or the course they have selected, they'll be in that class. The 11th and 12th will be in their own class or within their internships. Now, during meal times, they are, of course, everybody is together. So again, it depends, like say for breakfast and dinner, when we're at the dorm building, we have a separate area for dining, which is just for us. And kids are, as I said, divided in these small groups per residential counselor, right? So they will sit with their little teams. So all the 10, 12 kids and their residential counselor, they sit together on one big table. And so all kids will be accordingly sitting in their groups. Now at lunch, of course, depending on, the location that Manipal University will give us, either kids take their lunch from a common buffet area and then come sit in their class and eat, or there are certain outdoor spaces and they could sit there. But yes, at that time, they do meet with or mingle with other children that are not from their class, that is outside of 6th and 7th grade. Again, for extracurricular activities, these activities are in mixed groups. So there will be children from other grades as well.
Okay, cool. And last question. Somewhere I read there are choices. I mean, you have either 2 children or 3 staying together, right?
Yes.
In a room.
Yes.
So can I, from my end, opt for it that she wants to stay with in a room where there are 3 kids instead of 2? Is that possible?
No, usually the 3 is only when the rooms are specifically larger. So there are not a lot of 3 children rooms. It's just the larger rooms. So it will again depend on the rooms that Manipal University allots to us. So it's not something we can make a decision right away. And also in terms of accommodation, right? One is they will not be in rooms like a 6th grader will not be with a 12th grader. A 6th grader may share a room with a 7th or maximum 8th grader, but not like a 12th grader, because that's just way too different. You know, generally, we know that for children to have a more holistic experience, we try not to put friends together, or we try not to put like siblings together if they are siblings of the same gender. It's just so that they get an opportunity to meet new people, to make new friends, but also to kind of get over that social what would I say, that social, not anxiety, but the social challenge, right? Like it's much easier to kind of be with your friend. And of course, your friend is in the program and you'll stay with them. I mean, they'll be there at the other events. So we try to group them in a way that they get an opportunity to mix with others as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome, Shweta. Yes, Amit.
So you did mention that the 6th grader would probably be accommodated max with 7th or max with 8th grader.
That's
right?
correct.
This is only if the distribution across the grades are kind of little bit skewed.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the ratio would be with each of their grade.
Yeah, to the extent possible, yes. Okay, so we're at 12:32. Thank you, everybody, for joining, for spending this hour on a Sunday with us. You can, Eklavya has probably already put it in the chat. The registration link is already there. The link to the website is there. Both Eklavya and my numbers are on that website. If you want to chat further, if you need any other help, please feel free to reach out. I'll also send a follow-up email with a recording of all of this and the registration link. If you want any other help, do not hesitate to reach out. And otherwise, it was lovely seeing all of you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Sapna, Eklavya, Vikrant. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, really. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.